Remember the Roman Empire? Well, I guess you were told that it had collapsed about 2,000 years ago. Well, it's a lot more complicated than that. Well, yes, the western half of the Roman Empire collapsed, but you were told wrong. That's right, for another 1,500 years, the other half of it survived. Welcome to the Eastern Roman Empire, also known as the Byzantine Empire, centred on the great city of Constantinople, now Istanbul, where they never embraced Catholicism, kept the same Roman system of government, and the millennia of classical learning. However, the Byzantines had a frequent habit of blinding people or chopping off their private parts, as well as other horrors that come from a post-Roman society. Let me introduce Justinian, the character I'll be discussing today. Justin, his uncle, came from a farmer's background and rose through the ranks of the Roman military to the head of the army in Constantinople. And so when the current emperor drops dead, when you have the largest army in Constantinople, you get to decide who's next.
And so after the reign of Justinian comes to the throne. Justinian was an ambitious ruler, and just like us today, felt like the West needed to reclaim the glory of the Romans, and so took every possible opportunity to get as much of the collapsed Western Roman Empire back as possible. For this task, Justinian needed a helping hand and assembled a crack team from around the empire to help him pull it off. I welcome you to the court of Justinian. John, the Cappadocian, a brilliant tax reformer and corrupt official who managed to undercook the army's bread and get everyone sick. Narses, an intelligent administrator and flagrant womanizer. Belisarius, one of the most brilliant generals you have probably never heard of, who might have wanted the throne for himself.
Justinian had many military campaigns in his reign against many different foes, a war against the Persians which resulted in the not-so-eternal peace, a war in North Africa to reclaim Carthage, a war to capture some of Spain, and most importantly, a war to capture the cultural heartland of the empire, Italy. However, this last war was long and tiring and wasn't helping the situation at home, and in 532, a riot broke out in the capital. These were called the Nika Riots because of the chant said by the rioters, "Nika, Nika, Nika!" which meant victory or to win. You can sort of see why, with a deadly plague spreading through the city, ridiculously high taxes, and a queen who wasn't from the most savoury of backgrounds, Justinian thought about legging it, but with a motivating speech from his wife saying, "Purple makes a fine shroud. If you die, you will die an emperor." With that, Justinian executed a scheme where he bribed one half of the riot, and when his generals suddenly sprang on ambush on the other half. It was a brutal affair with a recorded 30,000 people dying. With Constantinople a burning pile of ruins, Justinian started rebuilding the city with a new basilica, the Hagia Sophia, its centrepiece. This basilica was so grand when the Turks came knocking they decided it was so cool that they would keep it and turn it into a mosque. Justinian had an eye for architecture and spent a lot of that tax money on giant buildings such as the Cathedral of San Vitale in Italy, and set about strengthening the fortifications surrounding the empire. All this wasn't because they just looked nice, it was just about projecting the authority of the empire to ensure loyalty and obedience.
So what was Justinian's legacy? Well, Justinian's law code is the backbone of all our European law. Napoleon used it to move from a medieval state to his French Empire. While Justinian didn't unite the Roman Empire back together, as you can clearly see, as we aren't still speaking Latin, he did leave a great influence on our architecture for decades afterwards. The Hagia Sophia influenced cathedrals for years to come. So what do you think of Justinian? Do you think he should be remembered or forgotten? It's down to you.